Hello everybody, welcome to the first edition of icucooking, basic home online cooking lessons. As you can see by my video, you will not see my face, you'll see everything but food and cooking. You'll see all that but not my face. I'll try my best, but the reality is this is a goal to teach you guys how to cook and show you guys the tricks of the trade and how I do what I do. Feel free during any of these lessons to shoot me a message, post it in the chat box, and I will get back to you verbally or via text. I hope this works. I hope you all enjoy, and I hope we can do many more lessons and help you guys cook better, eat better, and take care of yourselves better. Enjoy. Tonight is turkey, setting up the turkey stuffing. We have the basics. We have our turkey here, and then we have our celery and carrots and onions. And we're gonna first by setting up the mirepoix, because as we butcher the turkey, we're gonna need vegetables, mirepoix being onions, carrot, and celery for the stock. So please beware that you need these few ingredients to make the gravy, the sauce, and everything work for Thanksgiving. So I'm going to whip through this really fast and try and cut and maneuver fast and help you guys see how I act and how I move in the kitchen. And I hope you enjoy. And just bear with me. Compost, I'll always try and separate my compost and make sure that I have a bowl for compost just for the environment and the earth. So onions half I'm okay with. I could cut it down more. It's not necessary considering I'm going to be cooking it for about 8 to 10 hours. I'll be simmering this stock on the stove. And that's the idea of caramelization, flavor, giving the time for the collagen out of the bone of the turkey to come out. So the larger you cut your onions is indicative to the time you boil your stock. The longer you cook your stock, the larger you can have your onion. The shorter time you cook your stock, the smaller you want your onion, if that makes any sense. And don't mind me, I'm going to start crying in a minute, because onions make you do that. At least they still make me do that no matter how much experience you have. And I get so sad. Ooh-wee. Ooh. Ooh-wee. Man, those things are potent. So carrots, same thing, same idea, same concept with the carrot. Is it doesn't matter. I could put it in whole for all I really care. You put it in whole. It's good if you cut it up, definitely. I might trim this little nub off and then go from there. Ooh, so let's knock up these carrots. Those onions are potent. Now, I've heard many things about an onion, whether you freeze an onion or you go in the freezer and cut an onion, and that all will help prevent you from crying. But I've never wasted any time exploring any of those ideas. I just know that they make you cry, and you could fight it, or you could just man up. Alright, so once again, my compost bowl. Compost, please practice. Mirepoix. This is what we call mirepoix in the kitchen. Your basic consistency of onion, carrot, and celery. This is what you need for any stock. Basically fond, which is the base for broth and stocks in French. It's classic culinary terminology, and this is what we do. Mirepoix is used in many different forms depending on the way you cut it. This is rough cut for stock, so you'll see it in my pot. And on to the turkey. Here we go. As I butcher the turkey, I'm opening it up into the sink to prevent any blood and juice runoff into my sink or onto my cutting board. Pardon me. So here we have it. This is our turkey. It's a small bird. This is a small 5-pound bird. Sorry, 10-pound bird. And I'm going to do the basic butchery and set up the stock and broth for it. Comes with all the traditional, the heart, the kidney, and everything in its pack. Now if you're interested, you can definitely utilize this stuff. Maybe one day we'll go through a liver and a pate demo and show you guys how to utilize this. Otherwise, I'll just compost it, so to speak. Next up is the neck. The neck is extremely meaty. It's bony and meaty, but valid use. And when you cook it down in your stock, it's very good for stock. And when you cook it down, it's good to actually potentially pull the meat off of the neck. It's just added protein, and you can use it for soups mostly. I would pull this out if I was in need or I felt like I wanted to utilize it. Definitely cook it in your stock for however long you need to, and then pull the meat off, pull the bone out, and you have turkey meat, which is there. So I'll put that into my stock pot. And the tail. Here's the tail. Basically nupped off the end there. I'll throw that in stock. You could cook that, braise that. There's meat in between the bones and whatnot. And in some cultures, you know, no meat goes spared. Everything is taken off the bone. So that we'll use in stock. So butchery, turkey. First up, it's poultry. Just like any bird, they're all the same. Whether it be quail, a pheasant, a game hen, a chicken, or a turkey, and duck. These are your most traditional poultry dishes that birds that you'll butcher and eat and cook. So here we go. You have your breast, the crown. This is what we call the crown. And then you have your wings, of course. And I have no real use or need for the wings, so I'll probably cut the wings off and use them for stock. But if some people like the wings, you can easily cook them off and utilize them. But this part, it's like a large jumbo chicken wing. I wouldn't actually use it. I'll more likely use it in stock. So off they go. And now for presentation purposes, the turkey has that supreme look. And the supreme look is a classical terminology for breast with the wing on. And then I'll remove the legs. So let's go down here. So remove the legs. And I'll rotate. And I'll show you guys here. I'll pop it. There's a bit of a pop that will take place. And right down in the back of the turkey, in all poultry, it's what they call the oyster meat. And it's just a little pocket of meat. It's really tender. It's dark meat. It's beautiful. And it shouldn't be left on the carcass ultimately. The goal is to get it off. So I'll pop up. Get in there. As you can see, this little pocket of meat there is beautiful, soft, it's dark meat, it's ready to go. So there's my leg. So I'll set that leg aside, because what we're going to do after is we're going to debone the legs as well and add the legs to our stock. So once again, over here, flip over with my knife, get that oyster meat out, and then go down the spine and remove the thigh. And of course, more than anything in a kitchen, most important is a sharp knife. Please practice that. Hence I have my steel right next to me, always ready to go to keep my knife tuned and sharpened. So here we are with the crown. This is what we call the crown of the turkey. And I'll ultimately cut off the back, so it's just the top of the turkey. And I'll roast the turkey just as you guys traditionally know it. I basically eliminated the stuffing and the whole bird idea, and I'm going to create a stock so that you have good gravy, good jus, good flavor, well ahead of the game. And the breastbone still being on is a part of applying flavor to your turkey, because a lot of the flavor in meat comes from bones. And if you happen to cook a bird, any poultry, on the bone, it will be more flavorful than that without the bone when it's deboned. So I'll cut the crown off. And this is when I wish I was at work in my kitchen and I would have a cleaver, because a cleaver will do it. But till then I'll use the heel of the knife. The heel of the knife allows me to tap through bone really well if it's sharp. Right? See how easy that was? And then I just a little bit of cutting here, and I can hear it, I can feel it. There we go. And then just cut with a sharp knife. That was fairly easy, but that's ultimately because I have a sharp knife. And then you're left with your turkey, your back, your legs, and your crown. And the crown, I'll take the excess skin, I'll remove it, I'll add it to my stock, in the back, just to be good to my stock pot, so that my stock pot isn't overflowing or have stuff hanging out of it. I'll tap the spine and I'll break the spine in half. Once the spine is in half, it can fit into my stock pot. So the crown. Now that we've completed the turkey, we have our legs and our top, our crown. It's all white meat on this, and then all dark meat here. I'm going to debone, show you how to debone the leg next, and I'm going to set my crown aside, and I will brine it, and we'll go through brining in just a moment. But as we now look at the legs, so the legs, I'm going to flip over, open the face, and this is just the idea of simply setting up your Thanksgiving dinner. Simpler, much simpler than stuffing the whole bird and waiting 15 hours. I promise you, I will be able to cook this turkey in about a fraction of the amount of time and get twice the amount of satisfaction if I just invest this time to butcher my bird and properly execute. So here we go. I'm gonna run my knife down the bone and make sure that I trim the meat along the bone. And once I move the meat, notice I keep my fingers out of the way, and as I trim the meat, I'm basically pulling it away so I can see more. And then once I get under the bone just a little bit, I'll raise it up, I'll put my fingers under, I'll put my knife under, cut whatever is excess holding the bone down, and run down. And now I've got that bone completely exposed. So I'll do the same down the leg bone. Done the thigh bone, now we'll do the leg bone. Open it up. And at the end here, you'll notice I'll just run the knife out. I'm not interested in trying to capture the knuckle or anything. I just run it to where the skin goes out on the tip of the heel bone or shin bone. And then I'll pull that leg up, and like I say, skin the meat off of it. As long as you keep your knife running on the bone, you should have no problem. And of course, if you have a sharp knife, that always helps. And we will go through knife skills. We can go through knife skills. I have no problem showing you guys how to properly tune your knife so that you can do this and we can execute good cooking. Because the one thing that I've learned as a chef is that the quality of chef can be definitely determined by the quality of his knife skills. And the quality of his knife skills is most of the time pivotal on how sharp he keeps his knife. If he keeps a dull knife, then his knife skills are probably dull. And now we have a thigh. We have a roll of dark meat. So I've got my leg bone out and my thigh. And if you're like me, I like my dark meat more than I like my white meat. But I will say, once I brine it, white meat is acceptable. But I like my dark meat. So I'm just going to put that thigh there, bone into my stock pot. Once again, we all see the stock pot. Mirepoix is in, being onion, carrot, and celery. And now the turkey bones, the butchery. So I'm going to whip through this now, the thigh on the other one. So we'll go down the thigh. We see the way the leg is shaped. So I'll run down the bones. It's very simple. Stay with the shape of the leg. If you straighten the leg out, go that way. But ultimately find the bone and follow it. So as I butcher this leg, the next tip or thing you need to know about butchering, especially turkey more than anything, turkey is definitely one of the bigger birds that you'll ever butcher. If you do duck or chicken or quail for that matter, you'll never have the tendons. The tendons in a turkey are very thick and very hard and firm. So you want to be concerned of that when you're serving. But the truth is, when you cook it, once you cook the turkey leg, those tendons slide out very easily without any issue. So I'm just going to pass through. Like I say, I pulled through and then I run down the bone. As you notice, I have a little bit of meat on the bone. I'm not too worried about it. You cannot get everything. You could try to get everything, but it's a lost cause. There we go. Beautiful leg. There is tendons there. They're very hard. They're very firm. But like I said, once I roll this and cook it, I will have beautiful dark meat that I'll be able to pull all of these tendons out individually if I really want. And as I cut it for service, same thing. I'll be able to see this, spot the tendons and pull them out so my guests are not eating hard tendons. So now that that's completed, the turkey is completely done. I'm just going to move my cutting board across into the dish as I make a mess. Next up I am filling some water and I'm going to brine the turkey. So brining the turkey is the premise of salt and water, and it is basically a cure. The cure helps the meat, the protein, retain moisture better. So we're going to brine our turkey breast overnight to make sure that I get the moistest turkey possible. I want this turkey to be moist. I don't want it to be too dry. And we all know that turkey dry is undesirable. So I have some salt. Now there's different ways, different methods. There's different measurements and different recipes for a turkey brine. So please research, know what you're doing with a brine, and just read the information that's out there on brining. There's millions and millions upon recipes on brining. I'm very simple. I will salt the water till it tastes salty to the degree that I like. Maybe not the ocean, because the ocean is really salty if you haven't been in a while. Trust me, it's salty. So I'll season my water reasonably so to make sure that it's enough to cure and brine. So I have salted water now. Very simple. There's nothing much more to it. And if anything I could preach, and as you'll learn through my lessons and how I cook, one thing is prominent right there is tasting. So I tasted what I'm using and I made sure it was all right. And it is salty enough. I could see a little salt that's not dissolved in the center there. I'll give that a little bit of a stir to make sure it's completely dissolved. Takes all of the time that you saw me whisk that, and all my salt is completely dissolved. Need a little bit more. Sorry. And let me taste. I see no more salt granules in the bottom of my bowl, which means it's all dissolved. So I'm going to taste it. Salty to the palate, salty to the taste. So I believe that that's good enough that my turkey breast will cure overnight as I let it rest. Because this now, being broken down, will cook in a fraction of the time that you would if you cooked the whole bird with stuffing inside of it. So I've eliminated the stuffing of the bird and the legs and given them the perfect environment to properly brine and cure. And ultimately, it's that simple. If I rest in water, the next step for me is I'll find a bigger bowl to properly fit it, whether it be a pot or an insert. Traditionally, sometimes it's a bigger pot or bowl, and you can brine. So we're going to move over to the stock pot next. We're going to fill the stock pot with water. We're going to keep this guy here. Still on point. Good. You got the stock pot, you're seeing it. There's all the love, everything in it. You got those beautiful turkey bones that we just butchered. You have all the mirepoix in there, which is your carrot, your onion, and your celery. It's all there ready to go. And I just cranked the burner on. And we will bring that to a boil, and then we're going to do the process of skimming and clarification, making sure that we don't have any impurities in our stock to give us the clearest, most beautiful broth ready to use for our turkey gravy and or turkey soup if you feel. Because if you execute this method, you will not only have the most beautiful turkey gravy, but you will 100% have extra liters of liquid to create a beautiful turkey soup. And I just believe that utilizing everything you have to maximize your dollar, maximize your flavor, and just give you substance in your stomach. You know, having something at home for you to cook and eat is of great value. It's great, you know, it's not to be overlooked. So that's what the basis of all this is to really help you guys see what it is that I do different, what I would do differently at home or versus in a restaurant. So as you can see here, I'm going to just switch out my turkey into that bowl. And more water in with the stock. Like I say, please feel free at any moment, at any time. Hit me up, shoot me a message, ask me what I'm doing. I have no problems letting you guys know what I'm doing. I would love to instruct and inform everybody how we can cook better and how we can be better, because it's at that point we're at home. We need to cook at home better. We need to hold more than mustard and pickles in our fridge. Just saying. So the thighs as well, they'll go in the brine. So once again, salted water, as simple. This can be elaborated. You can do more with this. And by doing more with this, I mean you can add spices. You can add herbs to the brine, and that will help infuse the poultry better. Any protein. Traditionally as a chef, I was taught that brining is for the proteins that are extremely dry. So if you think about the driest proteins you've ever eaten, first would probably be a pork chop. Brining a pork chop is very valuable. Brining turkey would probably be the second one. Extremely dry after it's cooked. If you brine it, if you follow this process, you're more likely to find success in a moist, tender piece of meat, and you'll be more satisfied. But it takes this little bit of effort. And so far, by my count, I'm sitting at 20 minutes. So in 20 minutes of your life, you could actually brine a turkey and probably have something that's far superior than 90% of the restaurants or delis that will give you dry turkey meat or anything that's unbrined, so to speak. So there we go. The last of the water is in my stock pot. My stock pot is on. I got it, elements going. I'm bringing it up. I'll bring the turkey broth up. The brine turkey now is completed. The legs I will roll in tinfoil. I'll show you that tomorrow. We'll go through that detail tomorrow. And the breasts and the crown will basically be salted, seasoned, dressed with a little pepper on top, and roasted in a high heat oven to get that golden brown crispy effect. Have that beautiful skin crispy. I love crisp turkey skin, or chicken skin for that matter. And the thighs, same thing, deboned completely. They'll be wrapped and rolled, and then basically baked. So in this salted liquid, is there the opportunity that it could get too salty? Yes, there is. Depending on the volume of salt you put in, depending on the recipe you put in, you use, as well as depending on the time spent. So I'm only going to brine this turkey for about maybe about 12 hours, 10, 12 hours. It is now 11:50 p.m. I'll probably pull it at about 10 a.m. tomorrow. I think that's when I'll pull it out to brine. I can leave it longer. It's a decent sized turkey. It's a 10-pound turkey, now broken down to about a 6-pound turkey left. And the other 4 pounds are in the broth. So remember that when you purchase things, there's a certain portion of what you purchase that goes into something else, whether it be waste and or you turn it into stock and utilize it. So now I'm going to pull this off. I'm going to switch the cameras up so that you can see the turkey broth boil. And this lesson is pretty much over. There's not much more for me to show you here, with the exception of how to clean the kitchen now. And that's no fun. So brine turkey now will go into the fridge for 24 hours, or sorry, 12 hours. And like I say, depending on how much salt you have in your liquid, depending on what recipe of brine you're following, will dictate how long you want to keep your turkey in the liquid. But I assure you, this gives you the best product, 100%, and nobody can dispute that. And sous vide is the next way you can match this uh, level of quality. But sous vide is another bone to pick, and something I will probably never do. So I'm gonna put this in the fridge and switch up the cameras. I'm gonna mute everything. You're gonna see a pot of stock boil. I'm gonna skim it. I'm gonna remove stuff. If you see this video in the future, and you wanna reflect any questions that I missed, any information that I've missed, please feel free to hit me up on the chat box or post it under the video asking questions. Let me get back to you. Let me teach you how to cook. Let's move on. Thank you. Sorry there, guys. Definitely trial and error. We're working everything out right now to get the best quality footage as well as service. So please bear with me. This is our first video, and our stock pot is just about to come to a boil, and I'm going to stop it at that boil and reduce it to a simmer. And right now I'm on high. I'll show you high, and then I'll show you what I reduce it down to, say a medium low for a simmer. There's the high, and I'm gonna show you now back to the stock. I'll show you a medium low being between the 5 and the 3. I'll leave it right there. Smells beautiful. You see the blood? That's the blood that is boiling to the top. Everything from the bones and the excess of the meat. The blood is boiling, basically boiling to the top, and we have to skim that out. So to skim it out, I'll get a little sauce pot and a ladle. And very simply, I will sink my ladle into the stock gently and scoop out the coagulated blood on top of the broth. As you can see, all the blood has risen to the top, and as soon as I scooped it out, you have nothing but clear broth at the bottom. And now the goal is to reduce that to a simmer and let it set overnight for the 10 to 12 hours. If I leave it on any higher, the water will reduce. I'll have to refill. The goal is not to reduce it. The goal is to just simmer it so that you maximize your stock and fully extract all the flavor out of those bones, which smells beautiful, by the way, at this point. Throughout the course of the night, more blood, more collagen will, or more blood will coagulate and cook and float to the top, but it'll be a little bit less. There's always an immense amount at the first portion of the boil. The first boil of your stock will always have excessive blood coagulating at the top, so it's necessary to skim it, and then you're left with this beautiful clear broth that will naturally clarify as the proteins cook, solidify, and just settle, and the broth will stay perfectly clear, and you'll notice you'll get that nice caramel brown hue in your broth after 6 hours. And last but not least is peppercorn, some herbs, bay leaf, and these are your traditional things. You can mix and match your herbs to put in there. Carrot stems. You can use your peels. You can use anything really to make the stock work. I used actual mirepoix, which is carrot, onion, celery, and I'm gonna go to my garden outside and harvest some marjoram and some savory and maybe a little bit of rosemary and throw it in there and let it simmer overnight. And yeah, we'll let it rip and watch it simmer. Ciao. Hey guys, I'm going to stop this stream. I'm going to post this link so you'll be able to follow up, review anything that we've done to get to this point, and then I'll re-pick up the stock again and post a new stream. I hope you've enjoyed and understand why a chef will butcher a turkey and dismantle it for maximum utilization of the bird, making sure that we get everything out of it and leave nothing aside. So please feel free to practice this at home. I promise you your Thanksgiving dinner will move much easier, much quicker if you invest that half hour of cleaning the bird and setting up a stock. And I promise you that it was extremely cheap. This dinner so far has cost me about $40, being the vegetables and the bird. The vegetables are the primary thing, and vegetables are cheap. We just have to use more of them. We hope you enjoyed. Feel free to post any questions, request any questions that with regards to what we're doing and what you've seen in the video archives. And yeah, keep the conversation going. Please ask me questions. Please learn. Please get to know what it is that goes on in the kitchen, and let's get you guys cooking more. Thank you.